I've obtained the demand letter sent by Leon Valley Police Chief Joe Salvaggio, his last-ditch effort to regain his golden parachute out of town. The night before a vote was scheduled to rescind Salvaggio's city manager contract, his attorney, Richard Carter, sent this letter demanding the city council to clean up the unresolved issues before they go too far. The letter provides important new insight into Salvaggio's motives. The previous city council approved an outrageously generous contract on the early morning of Election Day to make Salvaggio the city manager.
Okay, Ms. Bosley, if you'll please call the roll.
Councilor Charles?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Alcacer?
Yes, and I'd like to comment that I'm making it unanimous and that the validity of saying it has to do with the charter has no validity, and
Well, I said I didn't know. Yeah. There's a big change.
the other comments made are not valid in this particular situation. Thank you.
And Councilor Hody?
Yes.
And Councilor Bradshaw is absent.
Okay. So the contract is approved, 4 ayes and 1 absent. All right. Okay, I think that we're ready for adjournment. At 1:35, 1:37 on, I'm sorry, is it 12? Okay, oh, it's not 1 yet, huh? Okay, so 12:37 on, November the 3rd, Election Day.
All 4 of the councilors who voted for the contract would go on to lose the election later that day. The letter reveals new events that occurred on Election Day, representing Salvaggio in his efforts to seek a proper disposition of the contract. The attorney made quite a stretch. He said, the Leon Valley City Council conducted a special meeting on November 2nd, 2020, and on a roll call vote, 4 for and none opposed passed a motion made by Councilor Catherine Rodriguez and seconded by Councilor Matthew Hody to accept Chief Joseph Salvaggio as interim city manager. The special meeting of the City Council adjourned at 12:37 a.m. on November 3rd, 2020. That was Election Day. City Attorney Charles Zeck prepared a 6-page employment agreement, which was discussed by the City Council upon the document's presentation to the members of the City Council before adjournment. As the mayor was leaving the November 2nd, 2020 special City Council meeting in the wee hours of the morning on November 3rd, 2020, she told others that she was not going to sign the employment agreement at that time because she was extremely tired from the long meeting and her head ached severely.
Mayor, did you sign anything about this contract?
It is cold.
Patrick, stop the BS.
It's not BS.
It is.
You call me an ass.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Oh.
Go get in the car and turn it on. Turn around. All right, you already turned it on. Just go get in the car, okay?
Is that protocol? Is that normal?
Yeah, it's, I gotta go home and just review it again, and I'll come back and sign it.
How horrible. Well, I hope you don't sign it. All right, Mayor, thank you.
Have a good night. Attempts to reach the mayor to have her sign the employment agreement later in the day on November 3rd, 2020 were unsuccessful. So the document was executed during the afternoon of November 3rd, 2020. Mr. Salvaggio signed as Joseph Salvaggio, and Mayor Pro Tem Monica Alcocer signed for the city of Leon Valley, Texas. Section 3.06 of the Charter of the City of Leon Valley, Texas states that the Mayor Pro Tem shall act as the mayor during the absence or disability of the mayor. Under the circumstances with the mayor absent and possibly disabled, Mayor Pro Tem Alcacer signed the employment agreement, which had been approved by a unanimous vote of the members of the council attending the special meeting of November 2nd, 2020. This is clearly ridiculous. Salvaggio continues a tactic of extreme manipulation to try to get what he wants. In this case, he didn't even give the mayor a full business day before unilaterally declaring her unable to hold office. Salvaggio would go on to keep this contract secret for weeks. On November 17th, in response to an open records request, the city sent me a copy of the contract with the signature page blank. They said the approved contract is attached to this email, but please note that our office is still pending signature from the mayor. Still another version of the contract that existed with Salvaggio's signature, but lacking the mayor's. A version purportedly signed by the recalled mayor pro tem was not revealed. If Salvaggio really thought his contract was legitimate, then why would he keep it secret? Why would he hide it? Considering the financial motive, no matter how you break this down, I think it's a clear criminal violation of tampering with a governmental record. It's probably a violation of other laws as well. The demand letter goes on to claim that the meeting minutes failed to mention that there was a problem with this unknown signed contract. The minutes of the said November 2nd, 2020 special meeting were approved by the Leon Valley City Council on the 17th day of November 2020, as signed by Mayor Chris Riley and attested by Saundra Passowig, City Secretary. At the November 17, 2020 meeting, there was no mention of the employment agreement that was signed being a problem or the minutes being incorrect. Why is this such a big deal to Salvaggio? Let's look at paragraph 17 of the contract passed by the defeated councilors. In the event employee is terminated by council, employee shall be returned to his previously existing city position as chief of police, or employer shall pay employee a lump sum cash payment. Basically, if Joe was fired under the contract, he would have the choice of taking a huge severance package, or he could go back to being police chief. Pretty cute. You can fire me, but you can't get rid of me unless I want to leave. So does Salvaggio want to leave? Let's keep reading the demand letter. While the city of Leon Valley, Texas can certainly terminate the employment of the interim city manager Salvaggio, it must do so in accordance with the language of the employment agreement. The city of Leon Valley, Texas cannot simply announce that it has rescinded the employment agreement and ignore its duties under paragraph number 17 of the agreement. Paragraph number 17 of the agreement reads in relevant part, in the event employee is terminated by council as interim city manager while employee is willing and able to perform his duties under this agreement, the employee may choose one of the following options. Employee shall be returned to his previously existing city position of chief of police, or employer shall pay employee a lump sum cash payment equal to 6 months base salary plus 1 month for every year served with Leon Valley, and all accrued leave and major medical days accrued from January 1st, 2021, the severance. This payment shall occur as soon as reasonably possible, but no later than 30 days after termination. Let's break this down. So the two options upon termination are 1, stay on as police chief, or 2, leave with a golden parachute of over $100,000. If the contract was executed and the council fired him, Salvaggio would have to choose. Which do you think he would choose? Would he choose to leave, or would he choose to stay on as police chief? If Salvaggio was already police chief and rescinding the contract caused him to remain police chief, he would still be police chief. So if Salvaggio wanted to remain Leon Valley police chief, then there would be no issue with rescinding the contract because it would merely leave him in the position that he wanted, the position he was already in. However, rescinding approval of the contract removed the option to leave with a huge payout upon termination. Since Salvaggio took up the fight, and the only thing to gain was the payout, it is obvious that Salvaggio was willing to walk away from Leon Valley, and the council should have let him. It would have been well worth the money. If Salvaggio wanted to stay on as police chief, there was nothing to gain by getting an attorney involved. Salvaggio's letter reveals another secret. When Kunstler unresigned last year, Joe was somehow promised a future position. The understanding was that a new agreement would be reached at least 30 days prior to the final active work date established in the future by Ms. Kunstler and the City Council. The letter closed. I am suggesting that the City of Leon Valley, Texas needs to clean up its unresolved issues with Mr. Salvaggio before it goes too far in its efforts to deliberate on the process of appointing an acting city manager for 3 to 4 months while beginning a search for a full-time city manager and appropriate timeline during its December 15, 2020 City of Leon Valley City Council regular meeting. If Salvaggio wanted to leave, why didn't the council let him? Was more months of turmoil and risk worth the money? Was the decision for the people, or was it personal? There was an out where everyone could hold their head high. Instead, things are getting only worse in Leon Valley. Make your voice heard if you want things to get better, and always film the police.